Good afternoon, dear participants. Welcome back from after your lunch break to the second session in the ATAL FDP on productivity enhancement titled Technology, Industry and Education 4.0 TIE 4.0, organized by Department of Humanities and Social Sciences NIT Warangal and funded by AICTE Training and Learning ATAL Academy. I hope you all had a great lunch, and now we will begin the next session, which is session 2 of day 1. The resource person for this session is Dr. K. Madhavi. Let me now take the honor of introducing Madhavi ma'am to overview. Dr. Madhavi Kesari, Head of the Department and Associate Professor, Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, NIT Warangal, with a PhD in ELT from Usmania University and MPhil in ELT from Institute of English and Foreign Languages University, IFLU, Hyderabad, has over 16 years of teaching and research experience. Her research and academic interests are in designing task-based ESP courses, multiple intelligence, visual literacies, employing flipped classroom methods of teaching, learner engagement strategies, innovative methods and behaviorist approaches to language learning, etc. She has authored 5 books, published 43 scholarly articles, and presented many papers at various national and international conferences and seminars. She has also organized 24 and more workshops on English language teaching and learning and delivered a number of invited talks on employing eclectic approaches to language learning teaching, blended technology into education, etc. She has contributed significantly to the design and development of curriculum for PhD program offered in schools of ELT, linguistics, and literature. She is a core team member of Center for Educational Technology and Teaching Learning Center at NIT Warangal. Her special areas of interest and academic interests are in she's interested in is inclined to develop innovative and effective methods to improve writing skills. She's interested in designing task-based ESP courses based on learner needs. Dr. Madhavi is well versed in designing self-instructional material for distance learning, reflective teaching, and continuous professional development. Thank you very much, ma'am, for uh, accepting our invitation and request to deliver a session and being a resource person in this session, in this ATAL FTP on TIE 4.0. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Smruti, for that kind introduction. I once again welcome all the participants for this post-lunch session on OECD. In fact, it might appear a bit theoretical, but then this forms the crux for the rest of the sessions that you would go through. So OECD stands for Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Most of you may be wondering how this would pitch into the topic on TIE, on the current topic, the FDP title. However, we will try to align the goals, the principles and ideologies of OECD, which match with 2030 Millennium Sustainable Goals. So from theoretical perspective, we are going to deal with in today's session. So I take great delight in being part of this edifying workshop supported by ATAL. And as I said, I would like to share some of the insights pertaining to OECD at a global, national, and also pedagogical dimensions. This kind of inputs, this kind of input should certainly broaden your outlook in the wake of several complex advancements that we are going through in the present context. I hope I'm audible to everybody.
Ma'am, you're audible, but we cannot see your screen.
Yeah, I'm yet to share my screen. After
Okay,
info, I will share my screen. So this is just a brief background to the session. So in the wake of several advancements made in terms of using online tools of teaching, online platforms, and also several assessment tools used by the teacher, this is something, which gives us a kind of confidence and pride while we enter into our classrooms or even online to teach online. So unless these inputs are essential for you, though initially you are reluctant or resistant in the beginning, but I'm sure now all of us have plunged into the waters and we now know the depth or intensity and the complexities and also intricacies involved in teaching online, making use of technology, industry 4.0 connected with education. So this FDP would not only provide you a peripheral understanding of themes related to the title, but also give you an opportunity to understand them, assimilate them, and then employ them in your classroom and research context. And this should also certainly trigger some innovative ideas for a research paper too, because we as teachers look for some kind of outcomes by attending to either a workshop of this sort or some kind of knowledge associated work that we do. So I'm sure this should also help you to build your research skills as well. So a brief about OECD before I show you my screen. What OECD is. So OECD is an apex body constituted with an amalgam of 37 countries, aiming at the progression of countries, all these 37 countries, aiming at the progression of countries in terms of socio-economic, educational, as well as cultural aspects to achieve collective equality. And this is perfectly in concomitance with the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, which is a result of several conferences and meetings conducted by major committees like the Walker Committee in South Africa, Salamanca Committee, UNESCO, NCF, National Commission Framework, and also recently we have come across National Education Policy, NEP, and a lot of online webinars have been conducted. It has created a lot of hue and cry across academic institutions to bring about that kind of revamping in the curriculum in the long run. There have been several suggestions made, included in NEP, the document. And over a period of time, we have to, educational institutions at all levels, administrative levels and academic levels, we have to come to terms with it, accept it, and then execute those changes gradually. So now with this kind of, I would also be dealing with CFRI, which is again an apex body, and how the research areas identified by CFRE would help the institutions and faculty members to successfully achieve the goals listed by NEP or also even Millennium Sustainable Development Goals. So this is a brief introduction of my session today. Now I would like to present my screen to the participants. Is my screen visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So what is OECD? As I already mentioned, it's an organization for economic cooperation and development across the countries. And this defines the need to learn about the principles identified in OECD. Yeah, with 36 members, countries, founded in 1961 to stimulate economic progress and world trade. And OECD is a unique forum where the governments of 34 democracies with market economies work with each other, as well as with more than 70 non-member economies to promote economic growth, prosperity, and sustainable development. And yeah, this is a master slide. Of course, the aims, mission, and vision, challenges, competencies
Oh,
from
great.
education and technology perspective, industry perspective, the kind of challenges it throws, and how could we achieve it? What is required from the other end, receiving end? So CERA, that is Center for Educational Research and Innovation, the kind of work that is undergone into it.
तुम्हारे पास 200 क्यों? मैंने 600 दिए थे तुम्हें को अभी, तो 300 तो आया होगा ना? 300 होंगे?
These are the broader long-term aims to be achieved by OECD. What knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values will today's students need to thrive and shape their world? And how can instructional systems develop these knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values effectively? So from receiving end and imparting end, I think the aims are connected too. So how do we design ourselves? How do we mold ourselves as educational organizations or as teachers? How can we implement these updated skills in terms of designing VR, virtual reality? I think sometime back there was a similar ATAL workshop organized on virtual reality, artificial reality, etc. So how do you bring in such models, such tools, technological tools into pedagogy? So skills in defined in those terms. And for before that, attitude, the teacher's attitude. Are we willing to accept this change? How far are we ready, receptive, reciprocative? How competent are we? So this is a broader aim, though it is appears to be very simple at the outset. However, the inner meaning is quite uh, intense, rather serious, because there may be some of the faculty members, or there may be some people who are reluctant to accept this change. So now we cannot resist this kind of changes. We have to accept them. That is important. But there are exceptions to the case, though majority, I think 60% of them at all levels, including higher secondary level, at school level, primary level too. Teachers have equipped themselves and adapted to the change in view of pandemic, of course. And when we teach, to what extent students receive it, that is also equally important. Whether it is in terms of administering the question paper, conducting the test, or in terms of evaluation, feedback. Like recently we have been asked to, at NIT, we underwent LMS training. Training for all the faculty had to go through this 3 to 4 days training rigorously, scheduled from morning to evening. So there we were taught how to offer a course online through using LMS platform. After that, we were also, at the end, though teachers have been using various platforms to teach, apart from LMS, like Google Meet and Microsoft Teams, Zoom sometimes, but I'm doing through Google Classroom. So to suit our ease, comfort, and then times, etc., we have been doing that. Nevertheless, when it comes to examination, we have been instructed to conduct exam through LMS platform. So the questions have to be designed, uploaded, then in various types like multiple choice questions, quizzes, etc., etc. And then evaluation also can happen for multiple choice questions online. So some of them found it difficult, or even while taking the test, students also were not quite comfortable. Most of them could not upload the answers through images. Rather, they had to call the teacher. It happened with my class. So they had to call me some of them, not all of them, due to some technical discrepancies, etc. So how effectively is this happening from students' point of view? Also, is something which we need to check. It is imperative for us to think from their perspective as well. So what knowledge, skills, attitude and readiness from students' point of view is also equally important. As teachers, we need to have an understanding of uh, these lapses or requirements, I would say. So that explains the aims of OECD, and it has a mission as well, to orient, not prescribe, government representatives and a growing community of partners, including thought leaders, experts, school networks, school leaders, teachers, students, youth groups, parents, universities, local organizations, and social partners. So, mission apparently is broader compared to the aims. Aims are spelled out at the educational level, and then preparedness, of course, in meeting industry needs, etc. But then here all groups of the community, of the society are involved. uh, yeah, especially the OECD education contributes to the UN 2030 global goals for SDGs, aiming to ensure the sustainability of people, profit, planet and peace through partnership. So it is through global understanding, community understanding, one-to-one understanding that we could achieve people, sustainability of people could be ensured, long life, healthy life, profitable at the same time, and peace on the planet, etc. So these are the broader goals identified to be achieved in the long run. Yeah, you were aware of the Education for Sustainable Development identified in 2014, where the white education role of education had been identified and given prominence. But in September 2015, the UN formally adopted the 17 sustainable goals as an outcome of a major global consultative process, which we have already seen in the previous slide. So it's an amalgam of 36 countries, democratic countries, who come forward to bring about a change, to achieve major changes in all, from all corners rather. Yeah, primarily, yeah, education is also one of the listed as one of the sustainable development goals, but with a newer shade, or a kind of which has been redefined rather. So, especially in terms of inclusive education and universal quality education that fosters skills, etc. It includes values as well. Hence, we have been talking a great deal about universal human values. That is also listed in Sustainable Development Goals. I think this is a link for viewing. Just let us quickly take a look at. Not create hyperlink, I'm sorry. So, is my screen visible?
Control click. It may work.
So one is no poverty, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Showing
Yes,
you the
ma'am.
sustainable development goals, 17 goals
Yes, but
identified
the
by
No,
link
ma'am,
is
your
not
UN.
PPT is
open.
visible.
I see. So I have to share
No.
my screen. Right. Mm, just a minute. Uh, show. Okay. Enter full screen. Okay. Then I don't see the option of share my screen here. Mm, now is it visible? No.
Not yet, ma'am.
Is it visible to you now?
No, ma'am, only the PPT is visible still.
Only PPT is visible. I see. So unless okay, I'll just read it out for you. Anyway, 17.0 and well-being. Quality education is listed under fourth goal, and fifth is gender equality. So and energy. Besides, we have energy, sanitation, clean water, etc. Then industry innovation and infrastructure is listed as ninth goal. Uh, Besides, partnerships for the goals, that is listed as a 17th sustainable goal. So of the 17 that are listed out, 4 and 5 are very significant. 4 is related to quality education, gender equality, and broadly OECD is connected to partnerships for the goals. So I thought you must know this. Yeah, I'll move on to my PPT. Later, probably you can uh, take a look at those. So for every major decision to be made, I think it calls for a pool of masterminds. They kind of sit together for a long spend, it would take us an year, sometimes 6 months, when especially some major policies are to be brought about. So these SDGs have not been simply identified, but then many other committees have contributed to it immensely. So especially for SDG 4, as I said, which emphasizes on quality education for all, which has deep roots in many international declarations. Earlier declarations also uh, have included about equality of education and inclusive education. That is very important. So these days you find that even NEP, I hope you have already come across the NEP features and how colleges are thriving very hard to achieve those, implement those. How many of you have been asked to do that? Are familiar with it? How many of the participants here have known about the national education policy? There's no chat box, so you can you speak? If yes, probably you can
Yes, madam. Who
share
can
your.
any
Okay, what kind of understanding have you gained from it? Like, what is your perception about NEP? Do you think those are achievable? Are they highly challenging? Are they viable?
yeah, ma'am, it is expected to be innovative and creative for syllabus designing as well as the industry ready product. But
Uh,
still, as the challenges come, we will come across with new avenues in the education and right way we can shape the future of the student. But as such, no clear picture regarding what what end product we need. we don't have that borderline where we know that yes, we have to reach up to this standard, because we are being implemented by so many rules and regulations of different councils, and it is hard for one college to be creative in all dimensions. We have
Huh.
these structured guidelines, uniform guidelines, which will give these universal values to inculcate into at large.
That's right.
It
Thank you.
focuses more, it focuses more on the implementation, I mean, practical aspects. I mean, if it is implemented well, I believe it
Mm,
can be very good. It focuses
mm,
on vocational training and to give to bring it at par with, other courses, because
mm.
vocational trainings are not given that much of importance, or the students don't get a job. So if it is implemented well and everything goes well, then it can be a good experiment altogether.
Exactly, exactly.
In India, almost all policy documents are very good.
So,
When it is comes under the implementation, it is very poor. Not only in the NPA, almost all policies are very poor in implementation.
right,
Yeah, so
right.
we
I
will have
believe
to, I mean, as academicians, all of us, it becomes a responsibility to see that there is no implementation gap. At least at our level, we can do that.
Exactly, ma'am. This is very
Right.
correct, because implementation, we are the people who have to implement, correct? And
Yeah, so
blaming the government is not a correct choice. We have to
about
actually
others,
take our steps.
yeah, so if we don't talk about others, we talk about only ourselves, that at our level, it will be implemented well. Then half of the job is done.
I believe if at all we
As
are
an
discussing.
academician, implement them.
This implementation comes under the all stakeholders. It is one part is the academician. Not only
Mhm.
the implement 100% implementation, almost all stakeholders should
Mm.
implement.
That
Otherwise,
exactly, that is what I meant
everybody
to
is
say.
thought that it is not my role.
Exactly. So that is what I meant to say, that everybody, if everybody does their job well, half of the job is already done.
I believe if at all we are discussing about projects, or if at all we are expecting students to come up with project-based learning, or we give them some projects, then those projects has to be different. Like otherwise, again, it will be a copy paste. Like others projects being copied here and then produced, so it will be again one and the same what we are facing now.
Right, right.
Thought. Can I share?
Prof, absolutely. Yeah. Someone else would like to add on? Please go ahead, sir. Hello. Do I continue? All right. Thank you for sharing your inputs. In fact, yeah, the goals are lofty, I feel. Hello. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, yeah. You are
Yes,
audible,
ma'am,
ma'am.
you're
Yes,
audible, but
Yeah,
then,
the goal,
yes, ma'am, you're audible. Can I
the goal,
request all the
the
participants to
goals.
go on mute, please?
Mm. So the goals
I
appear
request all the
quite long.
participants to go on mute. Ma'am, just an announcement, I'm sorry.
Sure,
Dear
sure.
participants, please go on mute and please turn off your cameras. That will save us a lot of bandwidth and there won't be any connectivity issues. Please raise your hand if you have a question and then you can unmute once your name is called out. For now, please go on mute and turn off your cameras. Thank you very much. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So yeah, as NEP guidelines have been discussed by you, the objectives appear quite lofty and sometimes unachievable too. There are challenges. So you have to identify at individual level what is that you can do at the department level. And as some of you have already shared, yeah, curriculum revamping, reorientation and revamping in terms of offering new courses and also collaborating, interdisciplinary research, promoting interdisciplinary research and introducing new courses at interdisciplinary level and offering PG or UG programs, introducing new courses with allied subjects. These are some of the challenges. Even it includes, if I may add on, uh, uh, offering certificate courses through distance mode, besides offering vocational courses to the students. So we have to search, like we should not be lost and stranded in the oceanic principles listed in NEP, but rather with a cool mind pertaining to your own domain and expertise, you have to list out how best could you contribute to implement these NEP guidelines. That's very important. And it should start from all quarters. It's a collective and combined effort. And you can take the liberty only when the institution supports. That's very important. Unless the administration encourages you to implement your proposals or plans, things cannot be achieved. So all quarters change should happen, but that individual will, your determination is also equally important. So I could see that most of you are motivated enough in not only understanding it also, but achieving it in a small way. So let that spirit be kept up, I feel. And we cannot dispense with NEP, that's for sure. Though it appears too cumbersome, etc. However, we have to learn and accept such a change. Yeah, moving on, expanding and improving comprehensive. Yeah, these are, of course, this we can skip. About education, the fourth sustainable development goal, which talks about the importance of education to all children, free education, especially to ethnic minorities, to have complete access, free and compulsory primary education of good quality. Yeah, and the life skill programs, they also stress on life skill programs that is yet to be strengthened and implemented full-fledgedly. In adult literacy, achieving a 50% improvement in levels of adult literacy by 2015, especially for women, and equitable access to basic and continuing education for all adults. Then, of course, gender disparities in primary and education. I think now even at BTech, even professional courses and many other UG courses offered in sciences, arts, etc. When we look at the proportion of girls and boys joining these streams, there is a disparity, prominent disparity seen. So how do we bridge the gap? Despite of talking about such big things, despite of identifying education as one of these millennium goals, but still the gaps do exist. Then improving all aspects of the quality of education and ensuring excellence of all, so that recognized and measurable learning outcomes are achieved, especially in literacy, numeracy, and essential life skills. So when we talk about the challenge of offering them life skills or vocational courses, etc. So hands-on or real life experiences, how far are the educational institutions successful in really providing a real life experience to the students? Of course, virtual reality, you could only take them. To some extent, I think that could be achieved. Now that we have been talking about a great deal about all these VR, uh, virtual reality models, etc. I think off late we also conducted convocation. The 18th convocation of NIT Warangal has been conducted through virtual mode, and I was surprised to see look at the way the students, the models of the students are prepared. They pose to be present virtually. They receive the degree, and even the person, the chief guest who is giving away the certificates are also that is in a virtual mode. It's not happening in reality. So to some extent we could minimize, we could feel that okay, we are viewing a realistic environment. However, that does not serve the purpose. In while teaching some of the subjects, I think students need to gain that experience of understanding some kind of process mechanism, taking them to industries, chemical engineering for that matter. if it is engineering background. So how well are we equipped, or what kind of exposure are we providing to the students? These are some of the challenges to be thought of, not only by teachers, teaching subjects, but also the administrators. So fortunately or unfortunately, we have not been addressing this issue effectively. However advanced we call ourselves in the 21st century. Okay, this is the pledge for World Education Forum pledge. Quickly you could glance through. I'm not reading it for you. Maybe 5 and 6, I'll read it out for you. Meet the needs of education system affected by conflict, natural calamities and instability, and conduct educational programs in ways that promote mutual understanding, peace and tolerance, and that help to prevent violence and conflict. Okay. So this, I think, it is achieved to some extent. Implement integrated strategies for gender equality in education, which recognize the need for changes in attitudes. I think this is yet to be achieved to a great extent. So the gaps do prevail, though this has been identified to take an oath kind of World Education Forum pledge. However, in reality, gaps do exist. Yeah, we are going through this pandemic, uncalled pandemic. I think that is what we are precisely doing. We are able to confront the pandemic situation, running schools, colleges, though delayed, but still we are functioning. Create safe, healthy, inclusive and equitably resourced. Yeah, how far have the educational institutions succeeded in implementing this? That is something to be contemplated on. Yeah, I would invite your views on point number 8. Create inclusive and equitably sourced educational environment. So recall your post.
Excuse me, madam.
Yeah.
Will you please go to the full screen slide flow, madam?
Yeah, because the screen is small.
Thank you, ma'am.
8th point. Create safe, healthy, inclusive.
And please go ahead.
Yeah. Could I invite your opinions on point 8? So how far are we meeting these goals in terms of health, safety? Perhaps safety, yes. Health to some extent, but especially inclusive and equitably resourced educational environments. Does it still appear to be a challenge? How far have we overcome it? Is something to be contemplated on. All right. So if there are no responses, I will move on. Enhance the status, morale and professionalism of teachers. Yeah, that is happening. Yeah.
Sorry, ma'am. Hello. Madam?
Yes, please.
It is regarding the point number 8, which you told just now wanted opinion.
Yes.
Most of educational institutions, madam, they cater to the mandatory requirement which is asked by the AICTE. They feel that okay, if you meet these minimum norms, our institute is okay. So very less educational institutions which they exceed in the mandatory requirement. And if you go in a strict sense, the mandatory requirements are just very minimal. It is minimum thing. They say okay, classroom should be there or lab should be there. The minimum thing only they say, but the institutions they misinterpret it to be as a yardstick for the this one success of their institution. And also when the accreditation agencies comes like NBA or NAC also, they see only the minimum thing what is there in that institution. But the thing is that with that minimum requirement, how they are able to achieve the uh, goals and to what extent they are successful in building the research base or the faculty improvement or even the students placement or whatever various parameters are there, based on that only they are checking. So in that context, I feel that the educational institution should focus not just mandatory requirement, but the proper utilization of the mandatory requirement, what is there designed by the AICTE. And in that sense, we can make a resourced educational environments, madam.
Right.
This is my opinion, madam. Yeah.
Yeah. Well said, sir. Well stated. I agree with you totally.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Besides, to talk about, yeah, that is on one side, all the challenges that you expressed, mostly in affiliated colleges, this is a scenario. Though they are known for accreditation, they are given accreditation, NBA accreditation status for 4 years, 5 years. They call themselves proudly as NAC A, NAC B, etc., etc. However, in reality, there seem to be a lot of loopholes or shortcomings, etc. But when it comes to even a premier institute like NIT, of course, this is not a problem, but there are other issues which are yet to be addressed. Now, we have been talking a great deal about inclusive education. Even NEP identifies that, where all the students, including physically challenged students, so they, to what extent are we as teachers are able to understand their mindset, their psychology? Are we paying any special attention to help them understand the subject taught by you? That's not been happening, honestly speaking. Even in my class, I have about 4 to 5 such students. They're seated in the front row. But we have not devised any specialized mechanism in order to meet their needs. Though they gain admission through some kind of, they have a leverage over others, of course. Under some quota, they join. However, when they enter the premises of the college, when they enter the classroom, are we doing justice to them? Hence, a lot of prominence is given even to address to such the needs of such students in achieving this inclusive education. So is there a lift for them? If the class is in first floor or second floor, how are we able to help them? And do we take them into confidence in terms of boosting their emotional and moral courage? When they cannot cope with taking down the notes in physical classroom, are there friends to help them out? Or is teacher going to them personally and trying to help out the students? We have not been doing that. Let's admit it, I feel. So many issues yet to be addressed, achieved, resolved. Fine.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, please.
Madam, the AICT has used the word as barrier-free environment for such situation, madam.
What is it? Barrier to? Sorry?
Barrier-free environment. The AICT calls it as a barrier-free environment.
Right. That is conducive environment, in other words.
Barrier-free means the one which is addressed to the needs of the differently abled persons.
Exactly. Yes. So that they're emphasizing on it now, great
Yes,
deal.
ma'am.
But
Barrier-free environment. Yes, madam.
in NIT also, we could not do something very consciously and seriously. That is yet to be taken up. Only at a theoretical level, like in meetings, that issue is discussed, but then NIT has not been implementing it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your inputs. So we will move on.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this I've already discussed in short about what it aims at. OECD aims at in kind of collaborating, and it's mm, compendium of many things. Like it's a contribution from all dimensions. Fine, I'll skip this. Yeah, I think last point is what we have already discussed here. The third bullet point, the highlighted sentence. It is appropriate that curricula should continue to evolve, perhaps in radical ways. So, how ready are we to offer such courses, interdisciplinary courses at UG and PG level, combining humanities, arts, and then engineering subjects? So that is unthinkable. Of course, we never thought of such such a change to happen, but then it is likely to happen in future. Fine. Probably these are some of the. Would you like to watch this? Can. Okay, we'll try to.
Yes, we would like to.
Can't hear. Is there any network issue or it is at my place only?
Ma'am, we're not able to see anything.
Share my screen.
Is the video being played?
Sorry, yeah, it's playing. I have to share that.
We can see only the slide with the YouTube link.
Give me a minute, ma'am. Let me see if I can open it.
Sorry, Spurti.
No problem, ma'am. I will try and play the video. I'm taking the screen sharing, ma'am. Give me a minute, please. Do you play the first video?
Yes, yes.
Okay, ma'am.
Madam, please open this. Madam. Madam, please open the share screen.
So 1 minute, sir. I am presenting it. Give me 1 minute exactly. Give me 1
share
minute.
screen, share screen. Go to share screen, madam.
1 minute, sir.
Yeah.
Give me 1 minute, sir. I'm taking control of it. Just allow me to share the video. 1 minute, please. Thank you.
Hello.
What does the future hold for education? In 5 years? 10? What will learning be like for students? And how will teachers instruct? And what role will security and IT operations play in keeping critical functions online and facilities and data secure? Today, the learning experience is already extending beyond the classroom. Soon, on-demand and more personalized learning will make it even easier for students to fit school into their own schedules and learn in the way that best suits them. Finishing a course will be based on the knowledge you've acquired, not a specific date. Augmented reality, digital images superimposed on live content, and virtual reality, an artificial 3D environment, are some of the hottest technologies today. In education, they can allow students to visit monuments, explore Mars, and even travel back in time. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is the ability for computerized machines to mimic human thought processes. It could make it possible to personalize the delivery of information and assessments to an individual. It could also shift the role of the teacher to that of a facilitator, supplementing the AI lessons and helping struggling students. And for academic research and discoveries, AI could help break through boundaries we can't even conceive right now. Everything you do today and tomorrow, from capturing lessons to enhancing research capabilities with AI, depends on a strong IT infrastructure foundation. All of your systems, network, mobility, collaboration, center need to work together seamlessly to support the changing landscape of education. And Cisco can help.
Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Can we watch the second video as well? Please
Okay,
pause
ma'am.
it.
Give me 1 minute, ma'am. I'm quickly getting the other video
No
also.
problem.
Thank you.
Purti ma'am, the video is there. You have to just play it from the start.
No, it's not the video, ma'am. I'm trying to. It's not letting me play it at all. It's giving me an error. I don't know for. Are you able to?
It has come to end. I don't know how. You just have to drag it to to the start.
No, this is a different video. The
Yeah,
one that
that's
you could
the
see now.
notification.
Yeah. The one that ma'am is talking about is on OECD. Let me quickly get that as well. Just give me 1 minute, please.
If it's taking time, we can skip it and go ahead.
Okay, ma'am. I'll give it to you. Then I will share the videos with the participants on email and the Google Drive, ma'am. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you. So, are you giving me the sharing rights, screen sharing rights? Can I share my screen now, Dr. Spurti?
Yes, ma'am. Please, ma'am. You can share the screen, ma'am.
Is this visible to you? Is my screen visible to the participants?
As of now, not visible, madam.
No, ma'am.
Not yet, ma'am.
We can only see Deepavali
No,
Diya.
ma'am. No, ma'am.
These Teams options are more actions.
Only Deepavali Diyas are there, madam. Nothing is there on screen.
Ma'am, now we are able to see your screen, ma'am. You can click on the projector mode, presentation mode, ma'am.
It is coming, ma'am. Yes, it is appearing.
Yes, ma'am.
it's visible, ma'am.
Kindly go to the full screen mode, madam.
Yeah, now it is visible. Yes.
Okay. Is this fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So some of the challenges which we have randomly discussed already. Yeah. So the goals here are very broad in nature. So the motivation will be more than getting a good job, that is in terms of student community. Challenges which are encountered from students' point of view, learners' point of view, in executing these education goals, we realize that their motivation will be more than getting a good job and a high income, but then it is a humanistic approach and universal concern about the well-being of their friends and families, their communities and the planet, of self-realization. When you learn about emotional intelligence and psychology, so Maslow identifies some uh, roles or needs. Yeah, needs. So starting with self needs. Initially, we try to fulfill our self needs. Then, in connection with the family, try to fulfill family's needs. Then slightly away from the grid, that is the relative society. Then at a national level, and then at a universal level. So I think think about your own wish or benefit, but rather you think big. Your goal are realistic in terms of taking care of the well. 4 to achieve this. So I not only think or to invent something for my benefit or within my locality, but I try to contribute to the society, to the nation, to the world in protecting it as a shield. Whatever my invention should help or minimize pollution. My innovative thought should support not only in a narrow grid, but rather on a broader one, broader canvas. So those are the objectives or the principles to be achieved from students and through, of course, administration, government, and teachers. It's a network kind of happening, or it's a kind of cobweb. All right, we move on to this is the learning compass of OECD 2030. Can we quickly watch this, Spurti? Was that possible, or you think we would be wasting our energy in doing that? If possible, you can play it, or else I'll move on.
OECD 20. Okay, this video. Okay, ma'am. I'll try and play it. Give me 1 minute, ma'am. And while I do that, would you want to open the forum for some questions while I pull that up for the audience?
Sure. So
If
I'll
possible,
again
please
come back.
share.
Sorry. Yes, please.
If possible, please share the link in WhatsApp.
Yeah. Dr. Spurti would do that.
I will do that, sir. You will receive the entire PPT on WhatsApp. Don't worry. You want us to share the link now on WhatsApp or after the session, sir?
Now itself.
Now? Okay, that will take you away, drift you away from the work, from the screen, sir. Because this will go on hold and then it will be a lot of chaos again. Give me 1 minute.
Then let you continue.
Let me quickly try and get this.
In terms of
it says the video is unavailable. Let me quickly check though.
Needs, but then intellectual universal goals. So as teachers, what kind of role are only those creative skills, the latent intelligence, those. So for that, an understanding is needed on the part of the teacher as well. Teachers should be prepared to evoke such skills among the learners. It is not just we teach and leave the class, because now the role of the teacher has become quite challenging. It is we are mentoring them. We need to act. We have become material design. We need to design and edit our own class. We need to provide feedback. So we don several roles as teachers, unlike traditional roles donned by us, and sustain their motivation levels all through, and also parallelly groom ourselves professionally as part of continuous education program. So teacher should be a continuous learner. It's often believed that though we teach, we cannot rest on the laurels, but rather we should aspire to learn as a learner, as a student. Only when you learn, you acquire knowledge, then you are able to impart it to the students. So my point here is, how are you contributing as teachers in enabling the students to contribute to the society on a broader level, with
Okay,
respect
Madhavi,
to
video
fields of
is ready.
discipline, be it art students, be it humanities students, be it students, regardless of the domain, whatever they learn, the degree, how consciously are doing this, are we treating them, is to be thought of as part of OECD principles of the 20th Millennium Development Goals. All right. So, is Dr. Spurti ready with the
Yes,
video?
ma'am, I'm playing the video.
Just as a compass orients travelers, the OECD Learning Compass indicates how students can navigate through an uncertain and rapidly changing ecosystem to help shape the future we want. It is an evolving learning framework that helps create a common language and understanding about broad education goals. Co-created by policymakers, researchers, school leaders, teachers, and students from around the world, the OECD Learning Compass defines the competencies, made up of knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values, that students need to fulfill their potential and to contribute to the well-being of their communities and the planet. When a student holds the Learning Compass, he or she is exercising agency, the capacity to set a goal, reflect, and act responsibly to effect change, to act rather than be acted upon. But the student is not alone in this. He or she is surrounded by peers, parents, teachers, and the community, all of whom interact with and guide the student towards well-being. The Learning Compass shows that students need some core foundations before they can set off towards well-being. These include not only literacy and numeracy, but also data and digital literacy, physical and mental health, and social and emotional foundations. To shape their future and the future of society, learners need to develop certain transformative competencies. These are defined as the ability to create new value, reconcile tensions and dilemmas, and take responsibility for their own actions. These competencies are developed through a cyclical learning process, anticipating, acting, reflecting. As learners become more adaptive and reflective and take actions accordingly, they continually improve their way of thinking. While there may be many visions of the future we want, the well-being of society is a shared destination. The OECD Learning Compass orients learners of all ages towards that better future.
Over to you, ma'am. Madhavi, ma'am, over to you. You're on mute.
So thank you, Dr. Spurti, for playing the video. I hope that that was abruptly or kind of abstractly understandable to the participants. So broadly it talks about, as I mentioned, from all resources, how do we tap or minimize pollution, or how do we work in collaboration, and what are the competences required. So precisely that was projected in the video. If you can understand it, probably you can watch it later if some of you couldn't really view. Referring to the competences to be developed. Is my screen visible, or do I need to share it again? Click on share once again, perhaps. I'll do that.
Madhavi madam, please reshare it.
Open.
Ma'am, can I have a question?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, as we know, in different states of our country, we just
Can
neglect
we
our
install this?
languages.
Sorry?
Ma'am, as we know, in most of our states in our country, we just neglect Indian languages. The medium of instruction, particularly in science subjects or management subjects, is English. But the rural students who are not well versed in English cannot study science properly, as the mode of as the language is English. So, is there any?
That's true. Yeah. In fact, NEP also emphasizes on offering multilingual courses.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, several besides in foreign languages, but also national and local languages.
So,
So
ma'am,
widely,
as we are talking about future goals, so we would be more focused on English language, or we can continue with regional languages also.
yeah, that has to be accommodated. That teaches the administrative demands, and if the learner demands, yes, you can for the benefit of the student. But we have to oblige, like English has become the medium of instruction. But if there is some kind of leeway, some kind of provision for teachers and administrators to make it easy. There are regional medium schools at a lower level, primary level and higher secondary level. But now in Telangana, in the state of Telangana, where NIT is situated, the state of Telangana government, the government of Telangana state has come up with model schools. There are different types, like models offer instruction through English as a medium of instruction, offering it in regional medium, regional language, that is Telugu. So some kind of changes have been made. However, I do not know the status
Excuse
of
me, madam.
other states. If there is any such provision by the government, if government permits, and even at higher level, this has been happening at a higher secondary level, but at higher education at UG and PG levels, that is not happening. But in
Excuse me, madam,
Karnataka,
may I
yeah,
add?
I'll just complete this and come back to you, please, if you don't mind. In Karnataka, I was told alarmingly that all the UG colleges, the medium of in all the UG colleges, the medium of instruction is Kannada. In most of the districts in Karnataka, government has made it mandatory that the medium of instruction Yeah, it's not mandatory, but teachers take the liberty perhaps, or it is mandatory. They're called government degree college only. Government degree college so and so place. So there the medium of instruction is Kannada. That is still allowed in some places. So it varies from state to state. It depends on the administrative policies. And finally, if you ask me as a teacher, what should I do? If you think using mother tongue, regional language helps student understand, streamline it and offer courses. We didn't want that. Now we are reverting. There were days, 10 years ago, where the medium of instruction, we wanted to do away with regional languages. We wanted to do away with, for the simple reason that the student is suddenly pushed into English medium after studying 10th class or any other secondary, 7th standard, etc. after completing his primary education, and suddenly he has to sit with students of English media, where medium of instruction is English in intermediate and even professional class colleges. As a result, he fails to perform well in interviews. He cannot go abroad and etc. There are many kickbacks the student goes through. Even most of the these companies have given a certificate for reputed colleges like Rajiv Gandhi KUT, like Knowledge University Centers. There again, you find that they are the best students, meritorious students who join the stream of such institutes. And some of the student have come from the regional medium background. So there are some problems prevalent given such allowance. So we have to weigh them properly, analyze the pros and cons and make a decision. It's a policy decision to be made, not at an individual level. All right. Next, yeah, other person, could I request the other participant to speak?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Madam, there is, I think most of us are aware that there is a university by name Maulana Azad National Urdu University in Hyderabad.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
This university, the medium of instruction is in Urdu. It has faced its major challenges and only except Urdu language or the medium of instruction Urdu, it has not met given the desired output, and still it is facing challenges to handle the contemporary scenario, madam. So it's a really a challenging task when it comes to the higher education instructions in the vernacular language, how far it will be successful or how far it will meet the objective for which it is meant for.
Yes.
So I just wanted to quote the example of this university, madam. That's all, madam.
Exactly, sir. As you cited the example of Maulana Manu, I think that's called as Manu. So as you said, yes, it is still trying to, battle with all the challenges. Uh, Thank you for sharing your views. Yes, I hope that's clear to the participants about introducing. But now, as I said, if we really make a strong policy, that is possible. At least we could have some courses which can be offered through this way, bilingual or using regional medium, etc. That's possible. If not, we totally introduce them, but then slowly, yes, that can happen. All right. I'll move on to my next slide. Environmental, yeah, broadly, the challenges can be, we have been discussing them intermittently, randomly, we have been identifying some of the challenges, but then these are in a more systematically arranged manner. Environmental, economic, and social challenges. In terms of course, that's a threat, ever perennial threat that we are going through is about the depletion of ozone layer and melting of the ice lands, etc. as a result, which could pose a greater threat to the mankind. Second challenge is economic. Yeah, though scientific knowledge is creating new opportunities and solutions that can enrich our lives, it is raising AI about can new economic, yeah, you could go through.
No volume.
Ma'am, we can't hear you. Ma'am, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I have to move away for a minute to attend to another important call. Yeah, this happens to be pervasive uncertainty and exposure to economic risk and crisis, which we have been going through again in the form of hacking, phishing, etc. Yeah, cyber security and privacy protection. That's the second challenge. Third challenge is social in nature. Cultural diversity, conflict, instability, and inertia, often intertwined with populist politics, are eroding trust and confidence in government itself. Yes. Yeah, in some of the countries we have been witnessing such instabilities in Syria, Iraq, Iran, some of the countries. The government policies also vary from country to country. So the rigidities involved in various democracies, various countries also could pose as a threat or challenge in achieving these goals. Blue.
White or sky blue lemon.
Yeah, last one. Important and learning to form clear and purposeful will be essential.
Madam, madam, ma'am.
Yeah, please go on. Am I audible?
Yeah, yes. May I permitted to add here, madam, online?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, madam. This is regarding the values.
Yeah.
This is regarding the values. Of late, the AICT has made it mandatory for all the faculty members in the ratio of 20:1 students. I mean, for every 20 students, one faculty member, that they have to undergo the mandatory 1 week duration of the Universal Human Values FDP program.
Right, sir. Yes.
So it has been made mandatory for all the ACT approved institutions from the current academic year, madam. And in that way, the government is also taking measures to inculcate the human values that people need to contribute to and the benefit from an inclusive and sustainable future, madam.
Yes, sir. Exactly, sir.
So I wanted
Thank
to
you.
add this, madam. Thank you.
Yeah. In fact, I thought of sharing this information with all the participants. Then I thought I may be slightly drifting. Topic is theoretical and hence I did not. But now that thankfully you raised the topic, I thought I'll speak for 2 minutes about that. In fact, if you look at the title of this slide, you feel this broader educational goals in terms of individual and collective well-being. So this is what is essence of universal human values course for students. As your sir, as you pointed out, so government ACT has made it mandatory 3 years ago. At NIT, we have been training students last 3 years. This is so undergo the training as teachers for about 10 days. It's a 2 week course where trainers, people like Rajiv Sangal and Pradeep Raman Cherla from Triple IT Hyderabad. So this is a man who has been really working very hard in spreading the message of inculcating these values among people, not only just students, but also people across the country. So the value ideologies relate to human needs, happiness, satisfaction, etc. So we did undergo this training, and we also offered it to the state that precisely matches this fourth bullet point, where the student tries to contribute for the well-being of the country, either in minimizing a pollution, in inventing something where pollution is minimized. We have been using mobiles. Everyone has 2 or 3 mobiles. I'm sorry to say that even I have 3 mobiles. One with screen broken and other 2 I'm using. So where is this dump going? As a result, we are harming our own mankind, humanity and ecology. We are directly or indirectly spoiling, tampering with the environment and nature. Being standing. Lead a rupture-free or a friction-free life, because hassles are there in every family. Skirmishes happen in every scuffles happen between couples and at all levels. So how do we stand overcoming all these? So it teaches you all these and your so personal level and also at a community level. How do we achieve all these? The well-being, happiness, minimizing pollution, production, creativity, especially. So it touches all these aspects, components in the course. You can view it from YouTube as well. If you click on Universal Human Values by Pradeep Raman Cherla or any other just like that, you will that will appear on your screen. So without any background knowledge, you might find it difficult to understand, but still, if you are interested, you could go through that. So of late, AICT has made it mandatory for all the school children, assuming that 10 years down the line or 20 years down the line, we can visualize a better world, a peaceful planet, in simple words. So it's an attempt, it's a tiny attempt to achieve big goals. Fine, we will move on to next. Already been with. Since we do not have much time, I think I'll skip these videos. You can later watch them. They're very simple, of course, short videos. Future of education, teaching and learning. Okay. This is again another video. Till 2050. If we have time, probably you can play this. Otherwise, I'll skip. Let me check with the coordinator, Dr. Spurti. If it is in the meet.
Ma'am, you can, ma'am, I will share the videos with them, ma'am. You can go ahead. I will share all the
Alright.
videos and the PPT
Yeah,
and the links with
this is
them.
something which is a must for everybody to watch. So 2050, how would the economy, the world would be? How would teaching happen? Do they view it on a laptop or on a bigger screen with the click of a button? So that would be really interesting for you to watch it. Please do watch it later. Your competences. Yeah, this also we have discussed. They have to navigate through uncertainty across a wide variety of contexts. And teacher plays a major role in counseling them, in reorienting them to meet, to be prepared for future uncertainties. Okay, there are some dilemmas which we have already discussed. Being skeptical about this, in taking responsibilities, accepting challenges, etc. Yeah, new sectors, new models. This also quickly you could glance through, and we will move on to CRI, the kind of research happening there. These are some of the slides. Yes, acceptance, readiness, etc. Balancing using the economy judiciously and extractive. Sometimes as teenagers, they tend to misuse technology. So a judicious use is called for with the given freedom. I'll skip this as well. Yeah, dilemma can be understood. Yeah, these are related to ethical dilemmas which we often come across. What harm and benefit result from this decision or actions? What is good virtue? What is duty? Is right? All right. Fine. This part we'll skip, and competence 3. Knowledge-based constructs for curriculum redesign. Students, teachers, leaders. 5 common challenges. Okay. They have identified 5 common challenges. Go through them. Yeah, this we have already checked about the lines highlighted in red. Curriculum and learning outcomes is the gap is very big. Sometimes what we test is different from what we teach, unfortunately. So how do we bridge the gap? Okay. The last one is also important. Curricula should ensure equity while innovating. All students, not just a select few, must benefit from social, economic, and technological challenges. System design principles for changes. So probably indirectly the students also should be involved in curriculum making. How feasible is it? Topic should be challenging. Yeah, some of these are already practiced, if not to a greater extent. Third one, alignment. Fourth one, as I was referring to about testing, what we teach is not we test. So the curriculum should be well aligned with teaching and assessment practices. So in the case, purposes. So the need for new assessment methods, testing methods to be developed. Process design, okay. Teach their professional skills. Test interrelation, authenticity, how students link their experience to the real world or to the theories. Either way, vice versa. Yeah, CRA, just in 2 minutes, I'll wind up. So this is CERI, Center for Educational Research and Innovation. CERI contributes to supporting participating OECD members and partners in their efforts to achieve high quality lifelong learning for all, which contributes to personal development, sustainable economic growth, and social cohesion. So, yeah, the last three lines highlighted in green. Yeah, new assessment instruments, approaches to building education. So a team of researchers already work on this, and if there's a lot of work is going on by the scientists and researchers in SETI. Okay. Yeah, this is the list of countries which I have no. Turkey, Switzerland, Sweden, Slovakia, Portugal, Iceland, Hungary, Australia, Denmark, etc. So I think I'm done with the session. So we have, I've given some inputs related to the challenges in future in meeting the education goals or industry needs using technology and the role of OECD and SERI. And we have also looked at some of the practical challenges encountered by teachers imposed by curriculum and administration and time constraints. So now I invite if there are any questions from the participants. Thank you very much.
Madam, I have a very small question. So, industry and academic collaboration. Is there any point is there in national education policy, or there is nothing such type of? Because I hope the industry and academic collaboration is the need of the hour. Because what are the problem facing industry? Suppose in chemical engineering, suppose I am facing in a problem of evaporation rate in my cooling tower. So that type of studies, suppose in my RO process, the reject water is, I want to reuse that reject water, some type of things. So that I want to share. Is there in such a point in national education policy?
Ma'am, you're on mute, ma'am. We cannot hear you.
Try to log on my mobile.
Okay, so ma'am, we cannot hear you. Let me quickly answer that question for you, Rashmi Mohapatra sir. Right now, while I don't have an answer either to that right now, but we do have a session exclusively on NEP 2020 and its implications for higher education. This is happening on the 6th, day 4, and the resource person is Professor Jayakumar from NIT Warangal, and he's been an integral part of this. And we recently conducted an online workshop and webinar where we had invited directors from various institutions to be a part of the panel discussion. And that session probably will give you a lot of insights, the inside story of the NEP 2020. So I might want you to just hold and reserve this question until then. Ma'am, so if you can unmute and ma'am had left the, did ma'am leave the meeting? Madhavi ma'am, are you on the meeting? Okay, looks like there's a network issue. Are you able to hear me? Can I get a hand raise? Can somebody say raise their hand? Yeah, great, great.
Yes, we can.
All right. So
Yes,
let's
ma'am.
give it another minute. I know we've overshot it's by 17 minutes. We should have ended the session by 4. We'll try and wrap things up every day by 4 p.m. There were some technical challenges, and we still are facing these challenges. While I am trying to reach out to Madhavi madam to request her to join the session again. Do we have any questions specifically that I can route to her?
Madam, tomorrow session starts at 10 o'clock, right?
Right, sir. Tomorrow session 10 to 11:30 and 11:30 to 12 we have a break, and 12 to 1:30. 1:30 to 2:30 we have a break like today, and 2:30 to 4. So all sessions are 90 minutes long, and between each session there is a break just to make sure that you don't get way too tired for the next session or the next day.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. Madhavi ma'am, we see you again. Have you joined the session back?
Yes, I'm there very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, I was trying to capture the question.
Ma'am, the question was on NEP 2020. Dr. Rashmi Ranjan Mohapatra had a question on how, if there is any industry and academia collaboration baked in to baked into NEP 2020. So the question was from Rashmi Ranjan Mohapatra, sir. He wanted to see if there is any scope for academia industry collaboration in NEP 2020. Ma'am, I think you're on mute again.
Madam, one more suggestion. Previously, I have attended one ATAL training program in NIT Delhi. So they muted everybody, and the last time the question and answer they unmuted. So there is a lot of noise is happening because that then discipline will maintain accordingly. This is my request.
I
It is
know,
up to
sir.
you.
Definitely. We'll do that. We'll do that. Thank you very much, sir. Madhavi ma'am, over to you, but we cannot hear you. They say technology is unpredictable but sometimes, especially for the faculty of humanities and social sciences, somehow technology is very, what do you call, painful. Okay, give us another minute again. Madhavi ma'am, are you on the call? Okay, welcome back, Madhavi ma'am. We can see you. Thank you very much for joining back again.
Yeah. Yes. So do I have any questions? I again missed out the question on NEP from one of the participants. Would you mind repeating it? Are there any other queries?
Madam, if you want to again, I'll repeat. Is there any is there any clue or clause, industry and academy collaboration in NAP 2020? Is there such a mention? Some clause or some points? Because normally there are so many problems industry are facing, and that can be researched in well organized by IIT and IT, and some foolproof. Suppose in our case, IIT Bombay help us in red mode system. Some research were going on, and at the end we result. So like that, any such type of exactly, I have not gone through the NAP 2020 thoroughly. So that's my point. Better from me you can understood and maybe guide us.
Are you referring to collaboration with other organizations? If I you can. Hello, are you referring to collaboration with other institutions in promoting education? Yes, looking for better opportunities.
No, madam. Exactly. Suppose some industry is facing some problems. Suppose I want to share one example. IOCL facing some problem in their pipeline. So they taken this point to NIT Jamshedpur. So NIT Jamshedpur people are doing some research work for them, and their director from IOCL give their problem description to NIT Jamshedpur, and their people and their research work are going on like that. In national education policy where industry and academic collaboration point is there, or there's no such type of point is available? That is my question,
It has to be
madam.
strengthened. It has to be strengthened. It is happening at the institute level, individual level, department level. In some engineering departments, it's happening. But then further, yes, attempts could be made to get such funding and to strengthen. Probably that would add on to improve the quality of education and enlighten the students also in getting a real time experience. And probably they would perform better when such contributions and collaborations are. So that is not there full-fledgedly at the moment. Though I think NEP talks about it. There is a mention of it in NEP, but then that has to be streamlined. Okay.
Also, one more small question.
Ah.
There is suppose rural area. Peoples are maximum peoples in India are rural area. So, any development on rural area peoples on education policy for their focusing on rural peoples, because they are not internet facilities and bandwidth issues. So many things are. So that is my also
That's true.
already on that.
Yeah, you're right, sir. Even our students who stay in remote areas, I think they have fluctuations in power supply or poor internet connectivity. They find it very difficult. Like I was citing you the example of uploading those answer scripts, sometimes attending to lectures. Everyday basis, they have 3 to 4. Not only rural areas, even the metropolitans, I think we are facing such problems with poor bandwidth, etc. So from government's end, though it is listed in sustainable goals, I really wonder if they really take it seriously and do something to help them. Yeah, there are gaps. It is happening only on individual level, but for college level or political level, uh, are they getting any kind of help? I have my own doubts about it. But I think that should be addressed. You're right, precisely that that's a major point to be addressed as part of sustainable development goals, or even in providing equal opportunities and for of education at all levels to so remove social inequality. So how is it possible if there is no internet provision? Maybe they can attend to the classes. They can go and attend after we overcome this pandemic situation. But beyond that, if they have to really think, creatively, they need to have access to internet. So if that is not, they are definitely handicapped. Their creativity suffers, the quality suffers, the outcome suffers. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Excuse
Thank
me,
you
madam.
for your insight.
Excuse me, but I want to give a little bit clarification regarding to the Mahapatra and in the national policy regarding the more holistic and multidisciplinary education. In that, they mentioned the syllabus and curriculum should address or should relevant to the industry. And I am from the adult education department, lifelong learning and extension. In that class also they mentioned whatever the adult education programs you are prepared in the university level, and entrepreneurship activities and the skill development activities.
Yes.
They mentioned in the national policy in education, there are so many times the industry, whatever they require the industry, they should, universities and education institutions should address the needs of the industry. They mentioned so many times, and if you go through the national education policy, in the page number 35 or 36, they mentioned the holistic and multidisciplinary education. In that clause, they mentioned clear cut what is the roles and responsibilities of educational institutions to provide the industry needs.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for the inputs given. I hope you could take a look at NEP, or else Dr. Spurti coordinator is requested to forward it to the participants, because the discussion is centering around NEP and that is the need of the hour. I think they should be informed about this. So please do share that doc which we received.
Ma'am, also we have a session
Madhavi madam.
scheduled by Professor Jayakumar on 6th, ma'am, and that session is exclusively on NEP.
Oh, really? Okay.
So we
Please
have
do
it
share.
on that. I shared the details with the participants already. Thank you, ma'am.
That's great.
So, Dr. Patnaik, over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, madam. See, this, I just wanted to add one sentence about NEP. Anyway, we are going to have a detailed this one on the program. So this national education policy is based on the sustainable development goals in the higher education is goal number 4. And it is based on the access, equity and quality of education to all. It is based on that. Entire principle is based on that, madam. I just wanted to add this sentence.
Oh, sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. I have a couple of other hand raises. I see Mrs. Vijay Lakshmi Mahesh, ma'am. Ma'am, over to you if you have a question.
Yeah, please.
Okay, ma'am. Can I now ask Dr. Sandhya Rani to ask the question, because you've also raised your hand? All right, Vijay Lakshmi, madam. You can unmute your microphone and ask your question, please. Can I request the other participants to go on mute, please, to avoid noises, background noise and others. All right. Ma'am, I do not think we have any more questions. So again, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you. While the session was for 90 minutes only, you've been very patient in answering questions, in elaborately explaining what OECD is and how important it is for all the teachers, and how important it is for us as faculty to be familiar with the entire process and the kind of work being done. And thank you very much for setting the stage right for the FDP, because from here it will be very easy for the other resource persons to build their sessions on the amazing platform and foundation that you've laid through your session. Thank you very much, ma'am, for the very nice, enlightful session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Spurti. I also immensely thank all the participants for their interactions, for making it all the more lively, though it's been scheduled post lunch. And though in brief about NEP, it added good momentum to the talk, and I feel that gap has been filled. Though Spurti was wondering if NEP would be covered during this FDP, I'm sure we peripherally touched upon it as well. So thank you. Thank you very much. I'll sign off then.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So dear participants, thank you again for being very patient and being very cooperative, though we had some technological challenges. Thank you. And I really thank Madhavi ma'am again. And that brings us to the end of session 2 of day 1 of the FTP. And so we can sign off now unless we have other questions. Just before the participants can sign off, just to point, the next session, the third session will begin at 10 a.m. tomorrow. That is day 2, 10 a.m. And we will use the same link to join the session, please. All the communication will be shared with you on email and the WhatsApp group. On the WhatsApp group as well, and the PPT will be also shared both on email and WhatsApp group. I have a small request. Please go on mute and do not unmute yourself unless your name is called out, because a small observation today, when the session was happening, because of some of us go unmuting ourselves, there was a lot of disturbance and crosstalk, and sometimes we lost connection and audibility as well. So small request, please, tomorrow onwards, let us please be on mute, and if you have a question, please raise your hand and we will be more than happy to listen to you.
Spurti madam.
Yes, Patnaik sir.
Yeah, madam, in this ATAL login portal, when can we check our daily attendance?
Sir, the attendance sheet that I shared with you will be available. Ravi, are you on the call right now? Ravi Prakash? Okay. So the sheet will be available for half an hour after the session. So it's 4:30 now. So until 5 o'clock, the Google form will be available. Likewise, in the morning session as well, if the session gets over at 1:30, the Google form will be available until 2:30. 2 o'clock, 30 minutes. Beyond that, you cannot mark your attendance again. And when will you be able to check your attendance? Very good question. Well, I'll upload it as soon as we are done with the session and I have data from both the sources. First source is the form, the Google form, and the second source is the Microsoft Teams. Let me give you an explanation as to why. Some of you had asked me a question as to why am I doing both. Now, there are about 160 participants in the WhatsApp group, and I see right now, since the session has begun, hardly 105 participants. So I'm assuming that all 80 of us right now would have filled the form, and the other 25 also would have filled. Sir, Patnaik sir, can I please request you to go on mute?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. So that is the reason I'm making sure that I'm cross-checking both the forms to make sure that the ones attending the session are actually getting marked present. So do not worry about it, sir. I'll definitely let you know. We're all connected anyways through the WhatsApp group. So I will quickly let you know as soon as I upload the attendance and then I am able to see your attendance tracked. I will take a screenshot and share it with you. We're all connected anyway. Is there anybody in on the call right now who's not on the WhatsApp group?
So, ma'am, like if I conclude what all you have said just now, how the attendance will be marked? Like it will be a form or the meet this teams where we are there, or it's an like anywhere we have done. Like either we have filled the form or we are here. How you will collaborate?
You are here, and sir. If you're here, you don't have to do anything about it. You're
then
here.
Why
That's
there
it.
is a need of a Google form, ma'am? That too with a 30 minutes or 20 minutes urgency. Like
why is there a requirement of a Google form? Okay, let me explain this to you. We require Google form because some of the participants have joined with somebody else's ID. How do I relate this to some? For example, in the afternoon when I got disconnected, I joined the call from my husband's ID. So it will be very difficult for me to do that.
So, like in case we are there in this teams for the session, there is no need to fill the form. In case we are, joining these teams with some other name or some others ID, then it is must to fill the Google form so that.
Man, it becomes inevitable, sir.
So, okay, great, ma'am. Thank
That
you.
is the only purpose, sir. It's just that it shouldn't be like.
Because in teams there are many people who would be logging.
Yeah, right. That's the only reason I'm asking you to do that. Else, it is all easy and a lot more simpler for the coordinating team as well to figure this out.
Yeah, don't work.
Thank you. Any other questions from the participants?
Spurti, madam. Good evening. This is Vijay Perumal.
Yes, sir.
Madam, a kind request. Please post the Google form in the email also. Suppose I am not able to fill out the Google form via phone, it can be support for me to send the Google form through email.
Great. Okay, Ravi, please do that while you're sending the Google form on the WhatsApp group. Just do a reply all to the email list that I'm going to share with you, and then the participants will receive it.
Madam.
Ravi, are you on this with me?
Madam.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome, sir. We're welcome. Yes, Patnaik, sir.
Yeah, madam, in that when you are uploading the Google form, you kindly make an this one that it can be filled only once. Multiple responses, it will deactivate it, it disable it, madam.
That is how it is, sir. If you try to fill it again, it won't take it.
Yeah,
It's only one
disable it.
response now.
Yeah, multiple
Correct. It is like
responses.
that now.
There is an option to resubmit.
Thank you.
And madam.
Any other questions from anybody?
Yeah, ma'am. I have one question. Since we will be taking uh, test at the end of the session, so can we have this recorded session on YouTube links or something like that? Because in
Right. The
morning
sessions will
session,
be. Yes, sir. The sessions will be uploaded along with your attendance. Your attendance will go on ATAL site, and the recordings will go on YouTube site, and the links will be shared with you.
okay, ma'am. Because in morning, no, because of net connectivity, I could not join the session, and I could not feel the attendance. So it should not happen with me next time. That's what. For while answering the questions from our session, I should be able to at least overlook what happens in morning session.
All right, so but then one challenge though, I wanted to keep you all informed. I know, I do understand there could be technological challenges, but then it is mandatory for each participant to attend 80% of the sessions and get a 60% pass mark. Now, how will it become 80%? My math is bad. So if we have 14 sessions scheduled, 30% of 14, I'm assuming, is 3 sessions max. So beyond that, if 3 sessions is the max that you can probably not attend or may not be able to attend because of technological challenges, but beyond that, it will be very difficult for us to request AIC to issue a certificate because your attendance will fall shorter than 80%. So please keep this in mind. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions, participants?
Are we done with the session so that can we leave? If at all
Yes,
anybody
ma'am,
has any
please
personal
feel free.
questions, then they can ask personally.
Please feel free, ma'am. Please feel free. Your family is waiting. Happy family time.
Thank you. Bye.
Spurti madam, thank you. Spurti madam, thank you. Spurti madam, thank you.
Pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Madam, am I
Yes,
audible?
Amaleshwari, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you are. You just need to keep your microphone a little away from your mouth, ma'am. A little away from your mouth. Okay, probably. Yes, ma'am. Because there's lack of clarity, but we can still hear you.
Yeah, is there a test at the end of every session or every day?
There won't be any test every day, ma'am. We don't want to make it that difficult for all of us. The test will be on the last day, day 5, and the last session before valedictory will be the test, and it will be an online test.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Spurti madam, thank you, madam.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome. So, if we have any participants who are just waiting for the session to get over, please feel free to leave the meeting. And the others who have questions for me, I'm right here till the last person leaves the meeting. Have a nice day. Have a good evening, everybody. See you all tomorrow morning. So, for the others who are here waiting to ask questions, I'm right here. Please do ask if you have any questions. I see that there are 40 participants still on the call. Is it because we logged in and we are not participating? Is it because you have a question? If you could let me know, I can